legal working group. And today is 3 of us. Hopefully, Griff will join us in a short while, and maybe Anya will also. So for today, my intention is to share with you a couple, on top of working on that document, which depending on how many of us we are, maybe I'll just spend some time with Griff during the weekend to do it and try to get rid and finish that document. I want to also share with you some, I would like to introduce some discussion on the impact hours and the contributions once we are already live after the hatching phase. And also share with you a much shorter document, legal document for the terms on the GitHub contributions of any member. Okay, so that's the intentions for today. And distractions, no distractions at all. So I'm focused on the meeting. What about you, Septimus?
Thank you, Santi. The intentions for the call, it's like every week, keep being synchronized, and the impact hours, how we'll handle them. It sounds so interesting. And I don't have any distraction. And I pass it to Lawrence.
Let's see if Lawrence can talk today. Lawrence?
There
we go. All right.
Okay. No problems at the moment. So a bit hot down here. We've been having some 50 degrees weather. So just trying to chill out. No distractions at the moment.
Great. All right. Now, hello, Matthias. Are you there? We're running a round of intentions and distractions as an introduction to the meeting. If you want to share with us yours. No, not there. Well, anyway, let's start. So in the agenda, there's basically what we were sharing last week, and let me share with you my screen here. Let's see if it works. Back screens, entire screen. Let me know if you see my screen. You do? All right. Okay, so what I wanted to share with you is this diagram here. This is, I've been working with Mateo on the source cred contribution method that we're gonna probably be launching, although it will go through a proposal and the voting from the community before we launch it. But we will implement once the tech is already up and running. Now, the idea is to have different ways to praise the contribution from the members. We think that probably we're going to keep working with the method that we have right now using Telegram and the praise hours that we collect every other week. And on top of that, we will try to add other methods like SourceCred. For those who don't know, SourceCred is a system that was created by the people of SourceCred, and it's implemented on MakerDAO and on OneHive. Basically, it's a method that automatically gets the actions of the members of our group on 3 different services right now: Discord, GitHub, and the forum. You can decide which of those and which actions on those you collect, and depending on the amount of activity of every single account, you give some weights, and at the end you give away some tokens, usually for the contributions that the people has been going through. So my idea was today to not talk so much about this method, although I can explain to anyone who is interested too. But the idea is to open up a discussion on what do you think in legal terms would be the implications of giving away tokens or any kind of token or contribution, any kind of monetary gift to people who's contributing? What do you think the implications would be? So, Lawrence, what was your? Let me read here. Let me stop my screen here. Hello, Griff. So here's Lawrence. He's typing again. I guess he's still having problems with his computer. So you're mentioning that is the weight complexity, giving away tokens dilutes the change against the DAI contributed. Well, it all depends. Well, I agree that the weights are complex, and that's why we're making it simple. The test that we're running is leaving away Discord, and we're just playing with the forum and GitHub. And so complexity can be as big as you want. There's plenty of options. You can leave away many of them if you want, and start simple. Then this is what we're gonna be doing, or this is the proposal we will bring to the community to vote. But the dilution of DAI contributed, the idea is to have source cred once the tech is up and running. And the way usually this works is that the community, someone in the community launches a proposal requesting some funds to give away to contributors. Okay, and the amount of funds depends on the proposal, and the way he's proposing to give them away depends also on the proposal. But basically, what's used to give away is source cred. So we are testing here, and we've started testing the tool, and we're going to be testing with some fake tokens to see that the results and the outcome that we get is what we are expecting to get. And I agree there's a lot of levers that you can play with and things that you can play with, but the intention of the discussion here was more from a legal perspective, not from a financial perspective or from a complexity perspective, which I completely agree that there's a lot of discussion there. But from a legal perspective, if we're giving away any valuable token, what's your point of view? So let's wait till Lawrence keeps typing, and maybe someone else can tell us what they think. What do you think, Septimus?
I don't know the legal terms of the giving away tokens, but I really think that idea that you just mentioned of doing a test, it's amazing. And we could also, during the test, do stuff like, for example, like try to gamify this source cred. So in the future, when there is a test, like if something we just try to do all the tricks before implementing the good one. I think that would be great.
Right, that's the idea of the test with source cred, to run several weeks and see the outcome and start really simple with many, just a very few variables instead of the hundreds that you can tweak, and from there see the outcome and maybe little by little introduce new ones. So hello, Olivia, and hello again, Griff. We're here discussing what could be the legal implications for the tech when we give away any reward to contributors through any reward system like the praise that we have right now or the source cred that we may implement in the future. And I'm talking here once we've launched, once the bonding curve is already running, we've gone through the hatch phase.
So once we've launched, the TEC is its own, effectively a general partnership. So every individual who interacts with it would probably need to claim their funds as some sort of thing, but there wouldn't necessarily be a legal. I mean, we do not have a legal entity in any jurisdiction. So who do we pay taxes to? Like, It's kind of, there's not, there isn't, I mean, you could, the fear here with source cred and the praise system is this a payroll? But effectively, it's a donation, is the way I would see it. And it's like the funds that we would use to fund source cred and praise, whatever reward system we use, would have to come from conviction voting. So the people with TEC tokens would vote on whether or not they want to top up the pools for source cred and praise. So on the legal side, it's everything after we launch is pretty easy on the legal side, because it's like, it's a DAO, we don't know. And then that's really all we can do, because we're not picking a legal entity. We're not in a jurisdiction. Okay, well, I'm reading what I see your point, Griff, and thank you for your point of view. I'm reading what Lawrence mentioned here. He says that if given for hours contributed, then could be considered employment if a service is supplied, which has implications under the EU laws for volunteer remuneration. Well, the way source cred is implemented, it's not hours at all. It's just giving a like or doing some actions in the channels, like adding some content on GitHub, stuff like that. We're not measuring hours at all. We're measuring, if you want to make some comparison, we're measuring actions here, basically, because it's the same amount someone who brings or contributes to GitHub with a whole piece of code that someone that just contributes uploading a document or a picture or something like that. So I don't think it could be considered as hours at all, as contribute hours at all. And maybe the hours praise could, but again, if we're not a legal entity, there is no way they can figure out, so we will see, but we're going to run. In the end, it's a whole bunch of individuals that live in jurisdictions that have to figure out their own implications, their tax implications. Okay, all right. Hello, Matthias. You wanna say something about that?
Hey everyone, can you hear me?
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's my first 10 minutes on this server, and I was just popping into what looked like an active voice channel. So I'm very excited to be part of this server now, and I'm trying to find my way in. So hope I don't bother you guys.
No way at all. You are aware what we do here at Token Engineering? You want us to give you a quick clarification of what we do here?
Sure, if it doesn't deter you from your meeting agenda, it would be.
Let's do it real quick. Let's do it real quick. Griff, you wanna introduce him real quick? Sure. So this is the Token Engineering Discord, and in here we really focus on the engineering work behind designing economies in the crypto scene. So a lot of, if you're pretty familiar with cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
So you're also probably pretty familiar with a white paper, right? A lot of people just build a white paper and they say, this is a future billion-dollar economy. Watch it. Watch me build it. And then they build it, and then it goes, sort of, right? Now imagine making the analogy between a cryptocurrency and a crypto economic system and a bridge, right? A public good. That anyone can walk across this bridge, anyone can use a cryptocurrency. But when you build public infrastructure, there's a lot of engineering work that goes into it. There's a lot of we take the lessons that we learned from before. There's certifications, there's regulations around it, because it's accessible to anyone. Unfortunately, in cryptocurrencies, that's not the case. We don't do any engineering. It's kind of like if someone had this white paper for a bridge, and then they go to Home Depot and they just start building it, right? And that's the state of cryptocurrencies. So in the Token Engineering Discord, we're trying to figure out how do we actually engineer these systems and validate our designs. And that's the most important part. There's a huge project within the token engineering system
that's actually using token engineering to fund the public good of token engineering itself. It's a little holographic. And this is the Token Engineering Commons. So we're building, we're creating an economy around the value creation within the token engineering space itself.
Cool.
And so that's the download.
Thank you. Sounds
Right.
exciting.
You're more than you're invited to come to any of our meetings and join our community. It's open to anyone who wants to join. So it's up to you to come to other meetings or grab some more information whenever you want. Okay.
Thanks.
Hello, Olivia. Nice to see you.
Hello.
We were discussing. Hello. We were discussing here today. I think you were already here. The implications of the legal implications that we might have giving away rewards for contributing to the community once we've launched through SourceCred or through the praise system that we already have, or any additional ones that we may include. And I wanted to bring these up today because we've been testing yesterday with Mateo. We made a test distribution with the initial data that we've been collecting, and I just thought that it'd be nice to have some kind of discussions and get the point of view of everyone. So you wanna tell us yours?
Yeah, thanks for the intro. I had a question about what Griff said, so that we should approve everything on conviction voting. So that would mean that all of the impact hours that we are dishing through praise right now, would we have to send each one of them through conviction voting?
I think.
No.
Go ahead, Griff. You're frozen,
So
by the way. Your video is frozen in me. I don't know if the rest of you guys
really?
are seeing Griff.
You see
It
me?
might be me.
I
It
can
might
see.
be me.
Okay. Well, Zep can see me, that's for sure. So the first impact hours that we dish, those will just happen in the hatch. After that, when we have the new praise system, after the launch, there will be no way to generate new tokens. So we will have to use conviction voting to approve any expenditure. And I would imagine that we can be a little more creative than making conviction voting do every single one. Conviction voting is really for funding small sub projects. So what OneHive does is conviction voting will top up a like distribution contract or a DAO that is in charge of handling SourceCred distributions, and then that DAO ends up having its own agency. So this is the really cool thing about this model, is that it's a funding stream, but to a lot of small sub communities that will and like teams that will do their own thing.
And can you add multiple addresses in one proposal to fund?
No.
Well,
But
basically,
you can
basically
send
what
one to a DAO, and then it could
Right.
send it to multiple addresses.
Right. Basically, what OneHive is doing is that they've created a DAO, which they call Swarm. They have different DAOs, and those DAOs are integrated by different members of OneHive, 5, 6, 10, whoever. They have their voting system, which is Dandelion, and they get the funds. And those in that DAO are the ones who decide how to spend those funds. There's the marketing people, which I forgot the name, Fauna. I think it's the Fauna Swarm. And they request funds through a proposal. And once they get the funds, they are the ones managing those funds for the purpose of that DAO, which was created in the case of Fauna for marketing. In case of SourceCred, it's called Pollen. I think there's six or seven members of the Pollen Swarm. They get the funds and they decide if they are giving away this much amount on every distribution, if they are tweaking the parameters this way or this other. Of course, they listen to the rest of the group, but they are the ones voting. And if you want to be a member, you have to be admitted as a member of that DAO, and just be a part of the DAO, and then you can share your vote. But basically, that's the way. So I understand probably the best way for TEC to work would be the same. Allocate or launch a proposal requesting some funds. Let's say we want to give away, for instance, 10 TEC tokens, distribute 10 TEC tokens for every week. And let's request 100 tokens, so we have 10 weeks. And we start moving. Maybe in between, we decide it's not going to be 10, it's going to be 12. So before those 10 weeks, we're going to have to launch another request, another proposal to the DAO, the tech DAO, requesting some more funds because we're running out of funds. And so that's the way it goes.
It's worth noting that we will request funds in XDAI. Mm-hmm. And then those funds, we will receive those funds in XDAI. Now, in an ideal world, we would have everyone convert that into TEC tokens, and it would be a positive thing in our crypto economic system because it pumps the price every time we actually pay out a proposal, which is a very nice system. So I think that we will want to have like proposals that agree to use the funds that they get out of conviction voting to buy TEC tokens. I hope will be favored, but it's also nice because you can get you can request funds denominated in USD, and if it takes a month to get those funds, like your plans are still pretty set. You still get the amount in USD, so it's a very nice thing.
Cool.
One last quick question. I think I just didn't understand how. So let's say there's 200 people to receive the impact hours. Is there a way to put those 200 addresses in one proposal, or what you're saying about the DAO that would be created for that would be like all of the people that will receive impact hours will be in this other DAO, and then you send to this other DAO, and that DAO will.
No. It's like the working groups, Livia. We have the legal working groups. Imagine this working group would be a DAO, okay, instead of just a group of people and a steward leading. Okay, it's a DAO, and the DAO is sovereign. It decides how to spend and how to give away. Of course, if it's impact hours, it's gotta be using the system that the general DAO or the whole group have decided. But if there's little tweaks that they can play with, it's that DAO who decides how to use those tweaks. And if, for instance, there's one contributor that we see he's a cheater, he's been messing around, they might be the ones not, when they do the distribution, they decide as a DAO, we're not going to give any contribution to this account, and maybe we're going to put this into the knowledge of the whole community and request their final vote, okay? But initially, we're going to freeze that account because it's that DAO, the one that deals with that specific task of the whole group, okay? So that's basically, and it could be 200. It could be definitely 200 people joining that DAO.
And just mechanically, I would imagine that it would just be a DAO of 4 or 5 people, and then they would look at all the data, and that DAO can send, right now, DAOs, because of block size limit, you can only send so many tokens, right? So like 30 addresses at a time, but you could, we do it with the Common Stack. Our Common Stack DAO distributes 130 to 130 addresses C-Stack tokens every month. And then we use that exact same system to distribute the rewards for source cred, where the DAO actually votes on, maybe 5 votes to send that many transactions just because of, technical limitations, but they would all be effectively 1 vote,
Right. Initially, that's the idea. Use that same system that you're using. I think it's these Boers, or that's the name of the app. I forgot. But
so I use Disperse app. I use Disperse app for as an account, as an individual. But the DAO, there's actually in Aragon, there's a transactions app that Sem built, of all people. So we would probably use that. That's what we use for distributing CSAT tokens.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's what we were expecting, to have some kind of app that's already built in One Hive or any other community that we can use to distribute the tokens and just grabbing the information from SourceCred, if it's SourceCred, or from the impact hours, or from any other system that we may use. Okay, let's jump to another topic here. This is a shorter one. It's the, I was requested by Jake if we could take care of the terms for the GitHub contributors. And we again used the Aragon template. This is a much smaller template compared to the hatching phase template that we're using from Aragon Jury. And I basically was doing that this morning. I grabbed the information from their GitHub, and let me share my screen with you again. Right here. Do you guys see my screen? I cannot see you. I'm looking at my computer, so unless you say something on the voice. Okay. All right. So here, this is a markup language document. So I just copied the document from Aragon, and I switched real quick Aragon words by TEC. And it's a very short document. Maybe we can go all together over it. So initially, there's the definitions. It defines what a contributor is. It means any type of work that is submitted by you to us. And initially here, us is defined as TEC, okay, and including any modifications or additions of existing work. Keep in mind, this is stuff uploaded into GitHub. Fonts shall mean TC, and we can change this by XDAI or any font that we wanna put there. Tokens that TC may grant the contributor at its sole discretion as bounty or reward for his or her contribution. Media means any portion of contribution which is not software. Submit or submission means sent by you to us, or our employees, collaborators, or other representatives. Maybe we should get rid of employees here. Throughout any form of electronic, verbal, or written communication, but excluding those expressly marked as not contribution. Submission date means the date of the submission. You means the person or legal entity, including its affiliates, asked to accept this agreement. An affiliate is any entity that controls or is controlled by the legal entity or is under common control with it. Project is the umbrella term that refers to the decentralized application, the network, and any other TEC open source projects. Now, basically, copyright license, you grant to us worldwide non-exclusive, royalty-free, transferable, irrevocable, and perpetual, or to the maximum extent permitted by the relevant law, license with rights to sublicense through multiple tiers of sublicensees to reproduce, modify, including creating derivative works of, display, perform, and distribute the contribution. This license shall be, in any case, conditioned to compliance with clause 4.1 below, except for this license. You retain all the rights and interest in your contribution. Patent license, you grant to us perpetual or to the maximum extent permitted by the relevant law worldwide, non-exclusive, transferable, royalty-free, revocable license over the patent claims, including without limitation, method, process, and apparatus claims which you own, control, or have the right to grant now or in the future, with the right to sublicense these rights to multiple tiers of sublicensees, to make, have made, use, sell, offer, for sale, import, or otherwise transfer the contribution. This license is granted only to the extent that the exercise of the licensed rights infringes such patent claims, and provided that this license is conditioned upon compliance with clause 4.1 below. Now the clause 4.1 here, the sublicensees. We agree to license the contribution only under the terms of this license or licenses which we are using on the submission date for the work of authorship which is made available to us to third parties or under any FOSS licenses of the Free Software Foundation or any of open source license approved by the Open Source Initiative or any license created or drafted by TEC, provided that such TEC license contains essentially the same terms and conditions or is granted under essentially the same principles. Hold on, Lawrence. Let's finish it. It's not too long, and then I'll go over your contributions. In addition, we may license the media in the contribution under Creative Commons license or under the license drafted by TEC, provided that such TEC license contains essentially the same terms and conditions or is granted under essentially the same principles that those of the Creative Commons license. Other rights, you waive and agree not to us any moral rights you may have or with respect to contribution against us or our licensees. Contribution, you represent to us that you have the legal authority to enter into this agreement. At each of your submissions, it's entirely your original work, and that the copyright is covered under the appropriate license in order to grant the rights set forth in this agreement, and that the license does not violate any third-party rights. The contribution is provided under this agreement on an as-is basis, without warranty of any kind, either expressed or implied, including without limitation. Warranties of the contributions is free of defects, merchantable, fit for a particular purpose, system integration, not interference, and accuracy of information content. To the extent of these warranties cannot be disclaimed, such warranties are limited in duration to the minimum period permitted by law. In no event shall either party be liable under this agreement for any indirect, consequential, punitive, or exemplary damages or any loss for profit, whether present or future. Boundaries, grants and boundaries. TEC may, in the framework of this agreement and at its sole discretion, grant you a certain amount of funds as bounty or reward for your contribution. In using the funds, the contributor shall comply with applicable laws, regulations, and rules, and will not infringe, misappropriate, or violate the intellectual property, privacy, or public rights of any third party. TEC shall not be responsible for any inappropriate or illegal use of contributor may do with the funds. Thus, the contributor shall maintain, here there is Aragon, this is TEC, fully indemned regarding its use. Assignment, you and we may assign all rights and obligations set forth in this agreement to a third party, provided that such third party agrees within to all rights and obligations set forth herein. And finally, the government jurisdiction of Switzerland and the city of Zug in Switzerland. I know it's a little piece of information here, but we can make it shorter. I think, Lawrence, do you wanna share your inputs here? I was reading some of the stuff that you were sending. Let me see here. Let me stop sharing my screen here. Let me read what Lawrence was sending here.
While you read what he says, I'll say a couple things. I don't know if we can say that we are governed by the laws of Switzerland. I think it'd be cool to say that we're governed by the laws of Ethereum and XDAI or something like that, honestly. And I don't know how we can do that. Also, I think that this is a great starter, but it needs to be reviewed by SoftGov and Gravity, and then it can be passed. Once they add their things that they want GitHub contributors to agree to, then it'd be done.
Right, that's the first iteration. I just grabbed that document that Jake gave me, and I changed that the terms of Aragon, except for that's still missing. I'll send that document to you, Libby, and you can discuss it and work on it on SoftGov, and then maybe with Juan Carlos, and then we decide. I think if we can make it shorter, I think it would be slightly better. Try to get rid of some of the terms that Aragon probably may need or needed, and that we probably don't want to carry with our own document.
And I think we should add something along the lines of like the DAO owns the code and is the only one who can agree to change the license. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
What were you going to say, Livia?
Yeah, that's great. We had this big session on the code of conduct today, and I really like this. What was it called? Definitions section in the document you were reading. I think we should definitely have something like that, kind of like a glossary, right? Like, oh, by this we mean this,
Yeah.
and have that in the beginning of the document before all of the sections, and use it as an intro.
Right, I agree, because there's many terms that sometimes we give for granted, and people who may be joining for the first time may not be aware of, or may not really understand what we mean by those terms. So it's important to have this glossary at the beginning and keep adding terms as we need. Okay, now it's time for the big document. Griff, can you share that screen with us? You will see that Libby was doing a great job yesterday and today. She sent the document back to me. Well, she upgraded it, and she gave it a nice format and changed every place where Aragon was mentioned by TC. We also changed some. I think we changed the Ethereum by XDAI. I think. Of course, there are some other terms that need to be worked on, but we can start from where we left it. And maybe I was thinking maybe you and I could have a hacking session and try to move forward with that document sometime during the weekend or Monday morning.
Sunday morning for me would work great.
Okay.
That's more like it would have to be your afternoon, 2,
right, my
3,
afternoon.
4.
Okay, let's talk about it later on after the meeting.
I have a lot of fun in these bathtub hacking sessions on the weekends.
Okay. So as you see, the document has been. She's given some format to it. I was accepting most of her comments, which was changing Aragon by TC and some other little changes that were just so. But it's time again to just jump deep into it and go over everything. And maybe after we finish, we can request Lawrence and Anya to go over it once we consider that everything has sense, not absolutely from the legal perspective, but from the document perspective. There's no information there that doesn't have to be, and stuff like that. And maybe they can give it the final thoughts, and then we finally can decide if we leave it as it is, or we give it to the lawyers to give it a final tweak or a final iteration. Okay. So I think we should. I don't know if you started tweaking those first paragraphs, or we jumped again all the way down to the warranties and liabilities, where that there is a capitalized even further down, I think. Right there. Do you recall where you stopped? Because I was accepting all the comments and there's no comments left anymore.
I was going to suggest that maybe we all just go in here and hack instead of just watching me do it. That's like 15 minutes of one person, but we could swarm and then we'd end up with 15 minutes of 5 people.
All right, that sounds great. Let's do that.
But for the for the people who want to watch something on video, I can share my screen while I hack. But I definitely need to. I need to work on the top part that describes the system.
Okay, you work on the top part. I'm gonna keep going on the liabilities and warranties and risk.
Is this document in the agenda?
Oh, I can put it in the legal group.
Yes, Levi, let me tell you what it is. If you go to the purpose of the call, you see what it says, keep working on the hatching terms using ANG terms document as a baseline. And then there's a bullet that says, see the working document. It's that one.
And it's also
Cool.
in,
Thanks.
I just put it in the chat too.
Thank you. And the idea is to highlight everything that has to be changed?
You can directly change it and or highlight it, whatever you want. I'm gonna go over all the document together with Griff on Sunday, and hopefully we might be able to review it all. And from there, I love Lawrence and Anya at least to give it a read and bring their inputs. So that would be the first and second iteration, and then if we want to give it to Coach V to give it a read or whatever, we should have the final version from there. So whatever you feel more comfortable.
Santi, could you possibly add that picture into this document? I don't know if it's necessarily going to make the final cut, but the picture is worth 1,000 words.
Which picture you mentioned?
That beautiful hatched owl, like here's the process.
Yeah, sure. I'll just put it all the way down to the document after the text.
Yeah, you could even put it in my section, the TEC hatch down its users, because basically I have to write the text for that picture.
Okay, sure, I'll add it there. No problem. Feel free to make it smaller as you wish, Griff.
Okay. Oh, it's so beautiful. And we'll make some tweaks to this picture too when on Sunday.
On technical details, it says we are launching it on the mainnet. It should be on Xdai, right?
Yep.
That's,
Where's that? Just change it. Just change it, Septimus.
Yeah, we're gonna launch on Xdai. It's all old stuff from the Aragon thing.
that's,
It's so nice that we have all this documentation that we can just copy, paste, and change. It's yeah, takes a lot of the thinking out and just lets us do.
Did you translate it, the mechanism? I remember reading that specific word before one of the sessions, Griff.
Well,
Did you
mechanism.
change?
So I didn't change it.
You just deleted it?
I think I'm basically writing out the mechanisms now of the hash DAO. But honestly, you'd have to go back and double check what they meant by mechanisms. But I think that they were talking about the very complex system that Aragon Court was. It was not.
like in this paragraph, it says on the risks and limitation liability, it says you specifically represent and warrant that you have read the mechanism and that you are a regular user of blockchain-based technology.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think.
Should I just leave it because you're describing the mechanism?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I don't have where are the original terms? Let me find those because I'm pretty sure I'm describing the mechanism.
It's on the same agenda. There's a link to the original Aragon document.
Okay, cool. Where is So they have a special. They link it. It's not in the document.
Okay, they link it. All right. Well, we can use that word or just change it to whatever we describe on the initial paragraphs and.
Yeah.
Sure about this. We're calling to the top of the hour here, so I think we're gonna stop here for today. Just send me a note, brief, so we can arrange the best time on Sunday.
Sure.
And
yeah, I'll send you a note.
all right, and or just send me a proposal on the calendar. Probably it's gonna work for me as long as it's not lunchtime.
It'll be. Are you free? Is lunchtime at 2:00?
Yeah, usually 2. Weekends it's slightly later. So anything from 4 p.m. ahead, my time works good.